All right, we're back here on Garage Takes. I'm joined here with Brant. We're talking Michigan football, coming off a bye week, coming off a win on the road at Nebraska. And while we didn't see Michigan football this week, what we did see was a great slate of Big Ten college football games. We talked about it last week. We put in our predictions. Brant, I think we learned a lot about a lot of these teams in the Big Ten, and so I want to get right into the Big Ten, where you think Michigan fits into this picture. So I guess some overarching thoughts, takeaways from you, Brant, from this past weekend. I know we're doing a contender pretender segment with the NFL this week on our Lions segment that we do, and not necessarily that we need to go through the entire Big Ten. But what about some of these teams, Brant? The Indiana, Illinois, the Penn States, Oregon, Ohio State, like Washington. What are your takeaways from this weekend and where Michigan sort of fits into that picture right now?
Dave, I really do have one question for you. Was I right about USC or was I right about USC?
Look, you were right. They came out a little sleepy. They did not quit though,
They
and
did.
ultimately it was like again Lincoln Riley calling, and I know it was a huge touchdown, but throwing that bomb just to give Illinois the ball back. Everybody in that stadium knew Illinois was going to come down, kick a field goal, and win. So whatever, man. Sure, you're right.
It's just the USC being soft narrative continues to ride. It's a tough place to go into Illinois and win, but I mean Indiana had just blown their doors off by 60 the week before. So for me, it's one of those things where, as I said, sat back and watched college football in the Big Ten last Saturday, I started to realize there are some separators now. Oregon clearly separating itself. Penn State finding itself where Penn State always has been, right, right in the middle of being great and being good. And it just cannot ascend to that great level. And, James Franklin's going to James Franklin. And really, Dave, the most impressive team from last weekend, and I know we hate to say it, Ohio State, going on the road to Washington. And they didn't do what Ohio State has done in the past to teams where they're up 21-0 before Washington can even blink. They dominated that game. They took it to Washington for 4 quarters. They stepped on their throat when they needed to. They goofed around a little bit in the first half. It was almost like a Michigan-esque performance where it's like, can you get it going? Can you get it going? Well, Ohio State has these guys on this offense that are lethal. And they just gives Julian Sayin enough time to be good. He's going to be good. And so that was really impressive to me. And the last thing I'll say, Dave, is Iowa is just always going to Iowa, man. It almost feels like they were always going to be content with winning that with an interception and a field goal. And that's the way Iowa wins football games. And if you can get it done, you can get it done. But when their starting quarterback goes out, it was just like the wind was kind of taken out of those sails. And if that doesn't happen, I think Iowa wins that football game. But I think you see what Indiana's made of. They're made of it in the trenches. I don't know if they can run the ball well enough right now, Dave, but I really like Ohio State and Oregon right now in the Big Ten.
Yeah, I think it's Ohio State, Oregon, and everybody else. And I think Michigan is still in that conversation of the everybody else conversation. So I want to kind of go there next. You did a good recap of these different teams, how they showed up and maybe didn't show out, some of them this weekend. Michigan didn't play. The last time we saw them, they went on the road and got a pretty dominant win over Nebraska. I know it's a 3-point win. I don't think that scoreboard tells you the story of that game, just like the Michigan-Oklahoma game was not as close as that score showed us. But I want to know your honest thoughts right now. After watching all of these teams, you're kind of at that quarter mark of the season. I know Sherrone Moore said, assuming they're going to play, 16 games. We'll see. But at this point of the year, do you think it's realistic to have Michigan in the Big Ten conversation of like competing and potentially winning a Big Ten championship, or is that outlandish? Because I'm trying to figure out where exactly, like, I don't feel like they are Oregon and Ohio State level right now. Do I think that they could get there? I guess that's kind of where I want to have the conversation. Is that even a possibility? Yes or no, and why?
If I'm going to say that Indiana can get there, if I'm going to say that Oregon can get there, I truly believe that Ohio State is the best team in this conference right now. And I think that Michigan can get there, but it's only due to more of their schedule than I think the actual talent hits the field with. And you throw out the record books when you talk about Michigan, Ohio State. So that game's always dicey for both teams. So I really look at it and I say, if you can get by Washington at home, you can get by USC on the road, you're going to be right there in the end of it. Do I think that this year, no matter what happens, Dave, that they'll have the most talent in the Big Ten? Absolutely not. Doesn't matter what happens from now until the end of the season. Michigan isn't going to be able to field a team as talented as Ohio State, probably as much as Oregon. But can you do enough with Bryce Underwood and this so-so passing game to get it to a level where you can compete with those two teams? And then Dave, right now, I'd say you're more talented than Indiana. I'm fine saying that. I'm fine with saying you're more talented than Illinois. But outside of that, this team is going to have to do things to take it to the next level to really compete with Oregon and Ohio State. And I'll quickly touch on Penn State. I think that Michigan and Penn State are in a very similar vein right now, where they're good but not great.
I would agree with all of that. I think that you kind of stole my point here, which is Michigan is definitely not like one of the top two or maybe even three most talented teams in the Big Ten. But if I look at their schedule, which will ultimately dictate who's going to play for a Big Ten championship, it's pretty wide open. You've got a couple of challenges coming up. I mean, every game's a challenge in the Big Ten, yes, but you go and win at USC and manage to win at home against Washington. There's a good chance that you run the table all the way to Ohio State and you're a one-loss team, and anything can happen. I mean, Michigan has Ohio State. You could argue for years has had more talent than Michigan. Michigan beats Ohio State. That's been the trend the last 4 years, and so if it comes down to that game brand, that's what I've kind of been going in my head, where it's like, yeah, I can't quite put them there, which is true. Ultimately, if I look at the schedule and see this thing play out in an advantageous way for Michigan, who their opponents are, whether it's home or away, like they're in prime position right now. If they go into that final game of the year against Ohio State at home in Ann Arbor with being able to go play for a Big Ten championship on the line, man, I that's a coin flip for me.
So, Dave, let me ask you: going into this weekend, obviously homecoming, you get Wisconsin at home, big noon kickoff. You'll be in the building, you'll be fired up. We all know that, but just take me through what you need to see from this team this weekend to kind of separate a little bit more from maybe being in that 4, 5, 6 category to maybe that 1, 2, 3 category.
I want to see this passing game opened up. That's the next thing for me. Here are the things I know about this Michigan football team. This defense is legit. Do we have some depth concerns maybe in the secondary? Yeah, we do. We also saw some freshmen step in ready to go. But this defense, I am confident in. They're only going to get better. Jason Barham only getting better. These guys are. This unit is going to start to gel. Feel very confident there. I don't think there's anything against Wisconsin that's going to make me feel even better than I do right now. Unless they slip up and just look like terrible there, then maybe I guess I could slip backwards. Running game, Brant. I feel very confident that we have two of the best running backs in the Big Ten in Justice Haynes and Jordan Marshall, arguably Justice Haynes in the entire country. We have an offensive line that's one group that I would like to see have back-to-back good performances. I don't know if you get El Hadi back. Even if Brady Norton's back, I think is Jake Guarnera's job to lose at this point. I want to see them to continue to win up front. Ultimately, it's not even a Bryce Underwood question. We know the kid can throw the football. He's shown us already in the limited action that we've had. I need to see them not just air it out, but complete the 12-yard passes, the 15-yard passes, and that comes to your playmakers at the wide receiver position. That comes from getting a guy like Hogan Hansen healthy, Marlon Klein involved. I would love to see against Wisconsin Bryce Underwood throw it north of 250 yards and 2 touchdowns. What about you?
Yeah, Dave, and what is he going to need to do that? I would say anywhere from the range of 28 to 32 passes. I would like to see him fall into that category. When you're going up against, and a lot of people probably don't know this, Wisconsin, number one rush defense in the nation. Dave and I were kind of talking about it before this. That teeth of that defense is nothing that you want to sit there and run at all day. So maybe you want to do some outside zone. I think that play action could be massive in this game. Please let's try to do something else than inside zone. You know, um, so I really do need to see Bryce Underwood in this passing game take it to 250, 300 yards, Dave, because it's going to be warranted in this game. This is not going to be you line it up and you try to go from 1st and 10 to 2nd and 8 to 3rd and 6. This is not the game for that. So I would love to see a little bit more out of Bryce this game. And I think now is a good time because you're coming off the bye. You should have some scripted stuff for him in the passing game. And you also think about this is a lesser team in the Big Ten right now. Wisconsin is down. I don't think Luke Fickell has a job next year. I think he knows that. So why not? Why would this not be the time to jump onto the passing game?
Yeah, absolutely. It's gonna be a perfect day. You're right, man. I'm going down there, tailgate in, got tickets to the game with the wife, and I'm fired up for it. I want to walk out of that stadium with at least a 17 plus point victory, and I want to know that Bryce Underwood was slinging the rock, and that we had some receivers actually making plays.
One thing you'll be walking out with for sure is a sweaty shirt and probably a sunburn.
Yeah, you got it. 86 degrees. Not looking forward to that.
Conducive
Brant,
for the passing game, though.
yeah, there you go. There you go. Brant, one final question. I know we're running out of time here for you, but I've got to ask you in the national picture right now, is Michigan a legitimate 12 team college football playoff team this year as it stands today?
Not right now, Dave. I think I've got to see the USC win. I need to see the Washington win. The Nebraska win is nice, but at the end of the day, Dave, I know you said some fluky things, stuff like that. It ends as a 3-point win over what could be an 8-4 Nebraska team, a 9-3 Nebraska team. We're gonna need to see some more, Dave. And believe me, I would love to just say yes and say it's sunshine and rainbows right now, but this team is going to be fun to watch because this could be a dogfight week after week. I'm thinking Wisconsin won't be a dogfight, but at Michigan State, you don't want to play around with a Maryland. Malik Washington will burn you. So I truly believe that this team right now is not a 12-team playoff contender, but that doesn't mean that they can't get there. And I'm expecting with the schedule them to be in the mix.
My answer as well is not yet. Not yet. I think that they are a team that could be easy to sleep on potentially. They also could, lose at USC and have a questionable game against Washington. I think those two games tell us everything we need to know. So let us know here on Garage Takes. What do you think of this Michigan team? How do they stack up in the Big Ten nationally? What do you want to see in the game on Saturday at home against Washington? Let us know in the comments. Hit that subscribe button. We'll see you guys next time.